Three fantastic speakers, and I'd say ladies first, Nancy Goldberg, EVP and CMO of NAGRA Kudelski. Big applause for Nancy. Hi, Nancy. We have Michael Bärlin, Chief Content Acquisition Officer of Allente. Hey, Michael. Let me stay here. And Adam Nightingale yesterday promised he would come as the avatar like Abba does over there in the O2, but I'm not sure. Let's see if he's real flesh and blood. Adam, is it you or is it the avatar? Oh, he's real. Yes. Great. Big applause for Adam. So, pay TV in the 2020s, reasons to stay on board. Well, one is enough. So, keeping subscribers and channels on board. So, maybe I hear from each of you, what do you think? What do customers want? We heard a lot now. Content is king, bundling, billing, and branding is king. Maybe super aggregation is king. So what's your take? And maybe I start with you, Michael. You're an operator, you're in content. Is it only content, or what is it that really drives your NPS and happy customers that stay on board with you?
Right, I don't think that there's a big mystery. It's quite simple. It's still content. I mean, in a pay TV context, we are delivering channels and services, and we get paid for it. I don't think that we need to dig a lot deeper than that. Of course, we need to deliver the content that is in demand, and we need to do it at a good price with a good user experience. I think that's still true. Even though there are a lot of things developing, there's a lot of innovation, but the basics are still the same, I think.
When we say pay TV, we're not just talking about linear broadcast TV, right? It's everything. It's streaming, it's on demand, it's fast, and it's whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. Perhaps with an asterisk on fast, since it's by the definition for free, so it's not really pay TV, but we could...
You pay with your eyeballs.
True, yes. And also, in our sort of environment, we would... So you are right, that would be behind a paywall if we sort of offer it to our subscribers anyway. But yes, when I say pay TV, I mean all of those categories. So we deliver video content and we charge for it. So it doesn't really matter if it's linear channels or if it's SVOD services. Yeah, it's still pay TV according to our definition, yes.
Okay. Adam, you're in the business of making all the content that there is shiny, accessible, and easy to find and present it in a nice way. So what's your take on what do customers need these days?
I think you answered it already. It's simplicity. You know, TV, it's entertainment. It's where you go to be informed or to escape or to do something to distract yourself from whatever else is going on. And the crucial bit is that it has to be easy. You know, historically, we would turn the television on and TV would come on. You know, there'd be something there. Yeah, maybe you like it, maybe you don't, maybe you turn over, maybe you stick with it. And I think that the odd thing that sort of the slight irony about what we do at 3SS is that we build these great UX capabilities across any kind of device, but what we really want viewers to do is not use them. Now, we want to get through that as quickly as possible, from that point where you sit down on the sofa or on a train or on a plane, wherever you are, and you're watching something you want to watch really quickly. Now, we have to cut down that time where you're mucking about looking for something. So that whole super aggregation story, what Emma was talking about before, about making it easy for people to find content that engages them quickly, is so important. It's, for me, the most important thing about TV is making it easy. Don't irritate the hell out of me by giving me loads of options and things I'm maybe not so interested in. Give me something I want now.
That's not easy, as we heard, because more and more channels to come. Emma said that the EPG is already full. So it's getting tougher. Fragmentation is increasing. And that's something you address a lot, because with rising fragmentation, there's one super aggregator out there, and these are the pirates. They have all the content, they have access to all the metadata in a shockingly great UI, not done by 3SS, and it and it's they have a lot of rise. So I think last year the rise of piracy was around 20%. Netflix accounts for 16%. There was articles recently. So what does that mean, Nancy, about the value of content?
Jesus, that's such a loaded question. It means a lot, actually. It means that consumers can always go and find whatever they want for free. So keeping them is going to be harder and harder if they have to pay for it in ways they don't want to. It means that we have to give them the flexibility, the value, the experience. There can't just be one thing that everybody wants. It's hyper-personalized. It is, you know, the adage of, you know, give them what they want whenever they want it. It couldn't be more true today. So I think we all have to look at not only the simplicity, but shit, you know, what are the pirates doing that we aren't doing? You know, and I don't think it's just free. They just have a really easy service. They have it so that anybody can use it. There's tons available. So it's a tough question. It's a tough problem, but I do know for sure we have to do something about it, because none of these operators, none of the subscription services would be anywhere if the value of content continues to go down.
Yep. So one of the solutions is super aggregation. We heard it in all the previous talks, right? So I need to have all the relevant content. It needs to be easy accessible and well presented. How are you doing this at Allente, Michael? You're in charge of bringing the content in, but what is your secret sauce and how is it going so far?
Yep. So again, you're calling it a secret sauce. It's not really that big of a secret. But what
Perfect.
we have, the path we have chosen to follow, to stick to rather, is a very traditional way of packaging our pay TV offers, but including the new types of services. So we do have aggregation deals with global SVOD services and local SVOD services. I don't know if we mentioned it, but we are sort of, we operate in the Nordics, so it's Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and Norway. And the local SVOD providers there are very, very strong, have a large market share in our markets. So we have close relationships with those. So that being said, we have incorporated those into the old pay TV bundles, but we stick to the bundles with some, I mean, of course, some degree of flexibility for our customers, but there is a real advantage when it comes to acquiring content with the bundle model, because then we have sort of predictability in the volumes that we will and can deliver, which means that it is easier to negotiate these aggregation deals with the SVOD providers. We know what we can commit to, and we if we get a good sort of deal, we make those commitments. So we sort of trade committed volume for wholesale discounts or lower RPO on their end. In that way, we deliver value upstream to the providers. They have sort of a certain volume that they can count on, a certain revenue. So we help them with the retention problem that was mentioned earlier. And we also deliver value downstream, that we do get a significant wholesale discount, which we pass on to our subscribers. So it's a sort of win-win in both directions.
You mentioned local content. We've been always talking about the big SVOD players, the Disneys, the Netflixes of this planet. But how important is the local content? And are there markets where this may actually win the war? Because Netflix, everybody will have it at one point.
Well, the local content is extremely important in our markets. It's the only really must-have content that we need to have, especially in the linear space. So we could probably, at this point, sort of survive by only having the major linear, local linear channels. But the international ones also add value, so we're very happy to have them on as well and include them in our bundles, yes. But the strong local channels are the real must-have channels. And it's the local broadcasters that have also launched the local SVOD services. I think also mentioned earlier that it's an overlap. So it's some overlaps in terms of content, but it's sort of sprung out of the linear channels. Now the SVOD versions have a lot of original content that is not on linear, but it's the same media houses. And they have sort of used that to, I guess, build their position to be, if not number one in each market, at least number 2 or 3.
Okay. You called it traditional, the old bundles. Is that the perfect way to address the silver streamers, as we've been called by Tim? I feel guilty. So does that still work, or do we need to change things to address the younger user groups, so the 18 to 25 or 49s, and maybe looking at you, Adam, what? Yes, because of the younger user group, exactly. What is it that we need to do in the UX? Is it bringing TikTok on the big screen, like Orange Spain just recently launched? Is that the way, or what needs to be done? Is it building communities? What are your thoughts about that?
Again, I think it's about relevance. You know, what you want to look at on the TV, and what I want to look at, and what any one of the people in here want to look at might not be the same, right? So if you go into the world thinking, I will build a TV platform, I'll have a UX, I'll surface all the same content to all the same people at the same time, then that bit in the middle, they're going to be happy. But your silver streamers, even if we do go grey a bit prematurely, some of us, are not going to have the same content requirements, content desires as the 18 to 25 group, who might be more interested in broad, sweeping generalization, TikTok or YouTube or whatever else. So I think understanding the different personas that you're surfacing content to is important. Understanding what kind of UX appeals to them is important, and making sure that whoever's looking at the TV is getting something that is relevant and interesting to them. So there is no one-size-fits-all argument. I think aggregation from many different places is clearly key, and those slightly non-traditional content sources, let's call it YouTube again, or TikTok, or local content, are all important. But making sure that you've got it in the right kind of format, with the right content front and center for the people that are most likely to be interested in it, is what matters. And then, coming back to the hyper-personalization comment, understanding, monitoring and tweaking that so that you can see what works, what doesn't work, adapting the UX, adapting the content that you want to promote is a never-ending editorial task. But having the means to manage at a fairly granular level content and UX is going to be increasingly important. Anyone that wants to stay relevant and wants to keep viewers on their platform rather than going direct to Netflix or Paramount or TikTok or YouTube is going to be crucial.
And when I do that on my phone, I don't need to log in. If we're on the big screen, there's my wife, there's me, there's the kids, and what is the incentive to let you know who is watching? Is it because I don't want to see the anime series that my daughter is watching? Or do you have a camera that recognizes me? Probably not. Or the voice fingerprint, or a fingerprint on the remote? How do I manage my digital identity? And I mean, I think the Kudelski group is great in protecting that, but also identifying it. So what are some of the themes and approaches you've seen or think will be relevant for that? The hyper-personalization, what do I as an operator need to keep in mind?
Not exactly sure what the question is, but when we talk about the identity and hyper-personalization, yes, you have to be able to kind of have this robust UI, but at the end of the day, what we really need to do is just accept what every age group is doing out there, and we have to adapt really, really quickly to all of those things. So when you talk about, you know, is it going to be a fingerprinted, is it going to be some kind of a single sign on a video camera? You know what, it's going to be all of those things, because if you look in the market today, everybody can do everything in a whole bunch of different ways. So you have to know what every person is doing. You have to know what they want and what they like to do. You have to know how they like to interact. And it is not just one size fits all, that's for sure. And these ideas of communities that will drive identities, or identities that will drive communities, I think this is going to be really, really important. How you do it has to be flexible. How you charge for it has to be flexible. How you interact has to be flexible. And I do think that we can't just look at what there is today. I know a lot of people say, you know, hey, should we offer up, you know, TikTok on a TV? You know, that shouldn't even be a question anymore. Of course we should do these things if you watch and see how people are consuming content, entertainment, or anything else. So I just think that that identity, that personalization to that individual person, really understanding how they behave, how they act in their home, how they act within their family and their community is going to be more and more important.
Yes, that's a good angle. How important do we think will the big screen be in the future? Will it stay as relevant as today? Will it move more to mobile, on-the-go usage? Michael, what's your take, and how important is it that it stays the big screen?
Well, good question. The big screen, I think, will remain front and center. It's the most important and most common way to consume this type of content. I think if you're talking proportions, it might decline due to other types of consumption increasing. So I think it's that rather than the big screen, the living room TV, that consumption is decreasing in absolute terms. So yeah, it remains the most important screen, and I think it will continue to remain the most important screen, yes.
It's also kind of a test of how audiences will react, right? So
Yes.
as you move that content into the home, if there's a limited release on a big screen, you kind of understand how the home audience is going to start purchasing, how they're going to start behaving, how those cottage industries are going to start emerging based on what that reaction, I think, is, right? So it could actually be more and more and more important, just who knows how many volumes.
Let's see. I know 3SS, you're also pushing content consumption in the car. One day we'll have self-driving cars, and if we not all work from home, I'll spend a lot of time in traffic jams that I can use watching content on my windshield. So from your point of view, how will that share of the big TV shift in the next, I don't know, let's say 5-10 years?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with Michael's point. I don't think big screens are going to be gathering dust, but we know anyway, people are watching more content, yeah, but they're not only doing it in the living room, they're doing it all over the place because you can. It's easy to find something to occupy your time, whether you're waiting for your car to fill with electricity, or you're stuck in traffic, you're on a plane, or even at home. So I think what we'll see is continued growth in content consumption, continued across all devices. So I would predict that viewing on the big screen will continue to grow, but relatively it will shrink a bit.
Okay.
It's still the best place to watch TV. Sport on a small screen, come on.
Yep.
Big screen, yes. Yeah. Avatar, you want to waste your time looking at that on a small screen? No. You want it big and loud.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's almost a pitch for theatrical releases and get back to the cinema. But it's great. I mean, what's not to love, really?
Yep. So video, of course, remains super relevant, and the big screen as well. Now, super aggregation, we heard it several times. What are some of the key challenges? So we heard Emma say, no, we're not yet there. I hear the same from other big telcos. Yes, we want to get there, but it's not easy. From your point of view, what are the key challenges to become or stay the super aggregator? Michael.
Well, I think, I mean, would probably repeat a lot of what Emma said, but just in an accent. But it is, of course, I mean, the deal making with the content providers perhaps made it sound easy earlier. It's not easy. It's a struggle. No, but especially, I mean, speaking for some of them, no one specific mentioned, there is internally at our content providers, you have the D2C team and then you have the wholesale team. And the D2C teams are very worried about cannibalization, which sort of bleeds over into our negotiation for the wholesale rights. So we need to constantly argue that we are bringing incremental volume, incremental revenue, and it's another model. We can't just look at the retail price and slice off a little bit and then think that we can sort of fit you into a bundle. So it's having those, either if we try to onboard a new provider to have that initial discussion, it's challenging, but also when we renew deals to make sure that we're still on the same page, we still have the same view of how the market works and so forth. So that's one. And then we have sort of the UX stuff, of course, to have it sort of discoverable, searchable, the universal search, the metadata integration. It's a lot of, fortunately, that's not my job. It's our CTO who's sitting there in the audience.
Where's John?
So I guess I could say it's really easy because I never have to do anything, but I know it's not. I know it takes a lot of work to make that look good.
And very good tech partners as well is super crucial.
Absolutely, for sure.
There's one other different thing that makes you a different beast than Vodafone. They are a telco or a techco, as they called themselves recently. You're an entertainment provider, right? Can you let us know what is the good and the bad about that positioning that you chose?
Yes, so starting with the challenging side of it is that, I mean, we do have, just to be clear, we are also a broadband provider, but we are not a telco. We don't own our own infrastructure, so it's lease capacity, and it's not a core product. We don't have the same gross margin on that product as the pure telcos have, meaning that we have to earn our money on the TV business, which is what we do. But in a competitive landscape where almost all of our competitors are telcos, they have sort of the opposite structure. So they have a high gross margin on the broadband products, and TV for them is something that can sort of be, I'm simplifying of course, but sort of thrown into the mix and be subsidized in order to gain broadband subscriptions. And that of course impacts the market and also sort of forces us to, from time to time, do some aggressive campaigning. So that's the difficult part, the competitive landscape. The positive part is that we really focus on the TV offering. It gets all the management attention. We invest a lot in it. It has enabled us to have, I mean, of course, I'm biased, but in our view, a superior TV product as compared to our telco competitors in our local markets. So yes, I think that's what I would say.
I think that gives you one beauty that often we speak about. We have fantastic features. Voice search is one that really drives down churn. But if you are not allowed to talk about it, because, okay, we have this feature, but if we do a campaign and I'm not looking at anybody specifically in the room, because I know some have that struggle, that no, my marketing tells me I need to do a 5G campaign, and so I can't even talk about the great UX and the great features I have. That would drive down churn, but I just don't get the attention. I guess you don't have that problem.
Yeah, you are exactly right. I mean, we communicate the TV product and we can focus all our campaigns on that. So exactly, that's a very good point.
So all of you will eventually become super aggregators. You, the telcos, the entertainment providers. How can you differentiate? So let's maybe use the last 10 minutes to sum it up. It's UX, it's the right content, brand, bundling, billing. What else? Security?
Definitely security. Security and keeping the value of content high is going to be really, really important. I think more and more personalization. So I think investing heavily on the UI side of things. On the AI side of things, because I think that we really need to have more and more ways of really understanding people, their behavior, the consumer behavior. So that's, to me, where I would focus.
You have a cool product.
Yeah.
So how can we talk about the future of TV without talking about AI, right? So tell us about digital twins.
Yeah.
Not of infrastructure, that's easy. Build me a digital twin of my mobile network. No, how do you model subscriber behavior, and what are maybe some of the insights you have gathered from working with some leading telcos on the planet with that?
Yeah, so the insight of insight. So we do have a product called Insight. It's actually less of a product, more of a capability. We leverage digital twins. We've done this across many of our biggest operator customers across the globe. We have been able to crunch that data for many years now. And so what we do is we look at that in a very granular way. We take in every ounce of information you can imagine about a consumer, a subscriber over a long period of time. And then we model it out in predictive models for a period of time going forward, so that we can really start looking at an individual subscriber. What will it take to keep them? What action will happen that will create their desire to leave or to churn? And the more we do this, the more we pull in all of that data, the better we get at it. And so if you look at the question, how do we reduce churn, or how do we improve subscriber retention, being able to model out in a very, very predictive way what they will do is to me at the heart of it. And nice little shout out, we do have a product called Insight that does that. And it is really, it's based on UI, it's based on a digital twin, but it's also based on our very, very long history in this industry.
So does it mean I don't need the experts with the gut feeling anymore, the old veterans that know how do our subscribers think and work? And today it's a bit gut feeling with expertise. So can I lay them all off and save money, and just it's ChatGPT 4, 5, 6? No, where do we go?
I don't think you can do that. I mean, I really do believe that we are additive to an environment at our operator customer. I think that we add very, very important intelligence, but then you have to look at the bigger picture. You have to look at the independent operator, the personas of their customers, the demographic that they're trying to reach, the demographic that is their current subscriber base. I think a lot of that combined knowledge, combined intelligence. So I wouldn't get rid of anybody yet. I would just call us too.
I think AI is here to help, not to replace. Let's use the last 5 minutes for my favorite question. You know it already. And I start with Michael. I give you if I were to give you, I need to be careful. If I were to give you $100 million.
No. Now you said you are going to give.
What would you do with it?
Yeah, so I think going back to what I talked about earlier, to be able to make volume commitments to get better deals, I would use that money to yes, to offer a large commitment, or that's so much money. It's in our small local market, so a few different volume commitments towards some major asphalt players to get a really good wholesale discount on their products. We can offer it at a good price to our customers.
So mainly on content. You can split if you say it's too much, but not for bikes and boats.
No, content, 100% content, yeah.
Okay, so I'll speak with John later where he would spend it. Okay, and Adam, where would you spend 100 million?
Yeah, I know where John's spending it. I asked him last night, so I thought get an expert opinion. And he'd already said I can't clear off to Brazil or somewhere.
Nope.
So this was not an option. He said pay the electricity bill would be one thing. If there's anything left over, buy some tomatoes. But what if I had to spend it in this industry, I would probably not need all of it, but I would spend time investigating the real use of AI. I mean, assuming that you already have good infrastructure, good UI, UX, and I'm looking at incremental improvements there, then it would be understanding how I can use AI to better understand viewers, better understand viewing behavior, understand how I can make sure that I keep as many viewers as possible on my platform as much of the time as possible. Stop them from wandering off.
Keep it simple.
Yep.
And Nancy, your 100 million.
I'm in the same boat, really. I would really invest so much money in AI and really trying to use that as a way to better understand behavior and predictability of that behavior. I think the other thing, and I mentioned this earlier, we don't have anything to sell if content is pirated, if it's stolen. It is a huge industry problem. It goes unresolved today. It will continue to be a problem until we figure out how to stop people from stealing what it is that we're asking people to pay for. So I'd put money there too.
I mean, compared to the golden days, let's say 10 years ago, it was easy to fight piracy. You just get these smart card copy guys and you put them to jail. But today, everybody can just frame grab the content and put it on the internet. And I hear sometimes operators said, well, if I fix it, they will just steal it from my neighbor.
That's right.
So it's an industry problem. And do you have some suggestions on how to solve that? Maybe it's too much for the last 3 minutes.
I don't have a way to solve it. I know where I would start looking in terms of technology. So I would look to kind of a combination of a few things: blockchain, watermarking, probably encryption, to see what you can't do from camera to kind of wrap things in a bubble. So I'd try and look in that area. But I also just think that if we don't recognize that people are making it so easy to take it, that most people that are taking it don't even know. So we just have to make the experiences better so that we can keep people engaged, so that they're not wandering looking for something else and they find that they're going to get it for free.
If you like some of my money, that was a very good answer.
I'll take
Use
all
the
your money.
microphone, Adam. Thank you, Nancy, thank you, Michael and Adam. I know it's about time for coffee, but is there any question anybody wants to ask the panelists? Hands up. Anybody? Yes? Tommy, don't be too hard, please.
Simple question. Thanks, Andy. It's been about 2.5 hours since 3SS and Allente sent out the press release talking about the 4K streaming dongle. Wondered if NAGRA is involved in that.
I don't think so. Are we? I really
Uh-oh.
don't. I'm looking over there at my product guy. I don't think we are.
Sebastian, you have an answer?
We're not involved on that one, but we're involved on many other things with 3SS, and it's a great combination.
That's true.
Thank you. Any other
Many
questions?
different projects going on.
Any other questions? No? Then it's time for coffee, and big applause for the three here on stage. Thank you for being here.